Good morning, Bournemouth fans. Yesterday, Cherries lost 1-0 to Burnley at Dean Court, and after the final whistle, I tweeted asking for your 5-word match reports. We'll go over those a little bit later on. Thanks to everyone that got in touch. We'll go over your short summaries later. But from my personal opinion on yesterday, now obviously there were no fan chat, so I couldn't get sort of a bit of my, but other fans' reactions too. The weather was horrendous. Trying to track down people was always going to be a nightmare. So it was straight home for me, and I've not seen a lot of fallout from the game, not watched the highlights again even. Got to do a podcast on this later on, so looking forward to that. But obviously there are a lot of mentions from Bournemouth fans about Burnley's style and Burnley cracking out their Twitter bingo card, which I think was brought out more than the actual analogies which were used against them on Twitter. So yeah, they got a bit of an inferiority complex, the Burnley fans, I think, searching the AFCB hashtag. I think their hashtag is Twitter Clarets. No one used it. They were looking at the AFCB hashtag, which maybe says something about wanting to enjoy a bit of Sheldon Frowder there. But I've got to say the Bournemouth didn't deserve it, not at all. Didn't deserve to get anything out of that. A point at best. Our shape was pretty bad. We started off with a 4-5-1, which was, I can see why Eddie did it. Didn't want to change something that worked so well for us in the previous match. However, I think, given the fact that Burnley, the way they were formed, meant that they had more attacking threat than us, seemed a little odd, because Burnley aren't your sort of free-flowing football team that the Premier League loves to see. Now, credit to Burnley, they did what they had to do, and in those conditions yesterday, I would have been happy to play like you did. I think there's a number of Bournemouth fans criticising them. The Premier League has always had a Stoke City. Always. And Burnley are that team, were that team. Look, the Premier League isn't a big fan of their style. The media isn't a big fan of their style. But if you live in Burnley, what do you care? Sean Dyche obviously doesn't care. Some of his post-match comments saying, I don't know what the fans want. Bournemouth fans were chanting, boring, boring Burnley. And yet, to be fair, it was, but it was very effective. I think it's one of the reasons why Sean Dyche, of course, is not a media darling and will never get linked with a job for anywhere that's bigger than Burnley. Certainly not a top club, whereas Eddie Howe is. But you got to say, yesterday, Eddie was tactically outthought, and has been a number of times when we've played Burnley. I think we've maybe beaten them twice in the Premier League, once at their place and once at our place. I can't think many more times. I'd say that they are our bogey side, but we knew that. Bournemouth fans went into the game thinking a point or 3 points would be a very good result, and credit to Dyche for having his team manage to set up in this rigid way that prevents teams that are known for free-flowing and attacking football. I think that the personnel that they've got sort of lends itself to playing in the way that they do. I think Aaron Lennon, of course, is one of the players that's previously played in a team with a little bit of dynamism. Of course, there is no dynamism at Burnley, and as I said, a bit like Stoke, and eventually Stoke got found out and got relegated. Whether that will happen to Burnley, not sure, but that kind of those tactics have always got a shelf life, and I don't know, but what does it matter? They came away with 3 points, and probably rightly so. I've got to say though, Martin Atkinson, the referee, had a shocker. A number of bad decisions, and even Philip Billing himself was very lucky to stay on the pitch. But that early one from Ashley Barnes, I noticed on Twitter they resort to calling us Southern softies and pansies and stuff. But the way Ashley Barnes went down right in front of it, Sean Dyche, you trained him well, my friend. Well done. But yeah, wasn't very pretty. And on sort of 87, 88 minutes, when they were having a little bit of attacking prowess, when that ball was lumped forward into the box, you just knew that something was going to happen, and it was a good header. Not sure if I'll have to see it again to kind of watch over it, but it was Jay Rodriguez who scored, and then Q semi-delirium from the away fans. It got checked by VAR and all was given, and they went away probably rightful 1-0 winners, so credit to them for that. And they're sat mid-table, which is kind of where they'll always be, on 24 points. For Bournemouth though, 4 points above the relegation, not too good. Always got these problems against teams that are really deep. Sheffield United, Norwich, Watford, Newcastle when they went 2-1 up. It's the same old story, and we do better against the teams that come out and attack. Case in point, our last 2 victories have been against last year's top 6, Man United and Chelsea. So it's quite scary. What is it? 6 and 7 now for AFC Bournemouth, and next Arsenal, revitalised by the Arteta appointment. Been noticing a lot of stuff about Arsenal fan TV. I'm going to do my comment on it on a separate video later, because a lot of Arsenal fans blaming AFTV. Knowing Robbie, he would give those dissenting people the platform to actually speak out about it. But of course, they usually hide behind Twitter AVIs. And there was a group of you fellas who managed to have their voices heard. Albeit not on camera, but obviously when you look at it online, people like Simon Jordan from TalkSport must be laughing his head off at this, because this is what he's been saying all along. But people have bought into it. But anyway, I don't want to talk about it too much, because there's a new video talking about that. Subscribe if you want my opinion on that. So, yeah, turgid performance. Reading some of Sean Dyche's comments, it was interesting, to say the least, because he said something along the lines of, I don't know what the fans want out of the game. He said he was confused by the high number of fouls awarded in the clash with the Cherries, but for the first half it was terrible. Not the best advert for the Premier League. I mean, Burnley don't care because they're not directly responsible for selling the Premier League product, but bloody hell, it's very difficult to market a product around the world when, to name some of the things, anti-football, long ball, all those kind of things. Any mention of Ashley Barnes, there we go. I've got 3, maybe 4 out of your Twitter bingo today. Pathetic. It was never going to be easy, but we've got to find a way to break down those teams. We've got to find a way, because we have not got the solution at the moment. And I tell you what, people are looking at the matches in January and February with the players that we've got coming back. They're saying, these are winnable games, so don't worry, Bournemouth fans. Well, yes and no, because a lot of those teams will do what Burnley did, will do what Sheffield United did. It won't be pretty, but they will come to do a job and try to do a smash and grab on us. We've got to be more astute in those situations, and if Eddie has any sense, that's what we're going to be focusing on. Trying to break down teams that have got that low block. We find it so difficult, and the referee didn't have a great game, but I'm not going to put it on the referee. I'm not going to put it down to Burnley's style, because they rightfully came away with the points. But unfortunately, Eddie Howe was tactically naive and needs to work something out. He mentioned himself about some of the challenges yesterday, saying Ashley Barnes' tackle, which left Simon Francis with 5 stitches. Frano, the southern pansy, played on with a kind of bandage around his head. No punishment from Barnes for that. I did find that a little bit bizarre, but we can't look at these individual situations and say that's the reason. Very, very difficult to analyse, given the fact that I don't want to sour Christmas by giving these ratings that are perhaps not overly generous to players. But what I will do is take you through the 5-word match reports from today, and there were lots submitted. So thank you very much to everyone that got in touch. And it's amazing how things can change. The optimism from the Chelsea game, all of a sudden, absolutely gone. So the first one was submitted by Nobby Dog on Twitter, saying, shocking, 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 shocking. Shocking. Yes, it was pretty shocking. Neil Dawson said, wish I'd gone Christmas shopping. It was a bad day for AFCB. The ref wasn't good enough. Chris Hubble, I did see you at half time, mate. I was going to say hi, but didn't get a chance. Not quite 5 words, but we'll let you off. It's Christmas. Creative spark missing. Lerma magnificent, said Mr. Tiggs. James, we wanted 3 points for Christmas. Yeah, we did. Scrooge Atkinson was bloody atrocious, said Guy. Tommy Heffernan's poodle. Martin Burridge, brutal, ugly cheaters refereeing woeful. Kerry, bloody Burnley, blight, better Bournemouth. Yeah, that's a difficult one to say, but we got there in the end. Paul Kenwood, glad we play attractive football. Minty, decision making / final ball dreadful. Nathan Nichols, the most predictable loss ever. Yeah. Tom Jordan, annoyingly predictable. We were consistently inconsistent. Clark, my Christmas jumper was best. Ashley Barnes, you're an embarrassment. We were singing that to him as he went down. Very soft lad. Baby Duck, he was up 2 minutes later. Well trained. Simon, really scrappy, smash and grabby. I like that. Adrian Kelly, Burnley are real cloggers. Steve Hensman, ref / Burnley, disgrace to football. Jamie Williams, same problems against the low block. Yeah, Jamie, as I said earlier. Alan, who said bullies never win? Jew, BMW with engine still running. That was hilarious. After about, 5 minutes? Please can number plate, blah, blah, blah. You've left your lights on and the engine is still running. You were that desperate to get inside the stadium. I bet you'd wish you'd stayed in the car and maybe even driven home in hindsight there. Yeah, gee, that was brilliant. Murky, well, we saw this coming. We did. Paul, just shoot for God's sake. Yeah, lack of shots. Scary. What was it? 3 shots? 0 on target? I mean, Burnley didn't have many shots either. I think they had 3, one of them on target. Those are the kind of fine lines that we were dealing with. Will anyone expect anything less? Yeah. 2-0 to Burnley, but I didn't expect anything more, put it that way. Louis, glad that's finally finished. James, Kung Fu, filthy, scummy Burnley. AFCB Rob, Burnley anti-football wins the day. Neil Whedon posts the Twitter bingo, and yeah, obviously they're used to trawling others' hashtags. It's funny because I never do that. I just stick on my own hashtag and don't see what other fans say unless they invade our own hashtag. Yeah, like I say, it's kind of like not much excitement going on in Burnley. James, that was not football. Meh. Backwards, sideways, repeat, Mr. O. And I know that you were talking about us and not Burnley as well there, and fair play. Your point stands there, and also I stand corrected with regards to the fact that I said Burnley fans were a little bit plastic. Yeah, it's Christmas, and also yeah, it's a long old journey. Conditions were a bit crap. So credit to all those Burnley fans that did come down and have to put up with that. Paul Rickson, like watching David Batty play for England. That was a response to Mr. O. And it very much was. Al Guard, poor game, poor weather, rubbish. Cross it to Pope competition, said you Reds. Yeah, crossing wasn't great yesterday. And there'll probably be less of it in the next game, given Rico's out. So what happens then? Oh my God, I don't even know. I don't know what's good. Fraser wing back, maybe. I don't know. James Russell, Musselwhite, wet and cold and wet. Naive, ineffective, clueless, unsurprisingly Bournemouth-esque, said you Red. Sean McKinley, cannot deal with physical teams. Odds Botkins, more points that slipped away. There we go. Those were your 5-word match reports, and I just want to thank everyone that got in touch for that. Again, sorry we didn't do the fan chats, but yeah, I don't want to make it too much of a negative Christmas. There's a vlog coming out later and a podcast coming out too on YouTube. Player ratings. Maybe we'll give the players a happy Christmas. Maybe we won't do it. Maybe we will. See what happens today. I've got a Christmas meal today, so we'll see what goes on. Anyway, thanks for watching. Up the Cherries. Have a very Merry Christmas. We'll be back in the next video. I wish I could do a mic drop, but that's more out of despair than saying brilliant. Oh, so yeah. Back in the day! Back in the day!